Meet Alice Brown Otter. Alice is 12 years old. She made her first trip to Washington, D.C. this year. She didn't pile into a bus with her 7th grade classmates. She ran all the way from the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation in North Dakota, 1,519 miles. Alice told me she did it because water is life. That's what I kept hearing this weekend at the Standing Rock Reservation in English and Lakota. Water is life. Mani Wachoni. Over 100 tribes from all over North America have gathered there to support the Standing Rock Sioux tribe in protesting the construction of an underground oil pipeline that will go under the Missouri River. The tribes fear that any leakage from the pipeline will damage the river and the reservation. The federal court judge hearing the tribe's case against the pipeline announced last week that he would make a decision at the end of this week. Then on Friday, the tribe filed additional information in court about sacred sites they had located in the path of the pipeline. On Saturday, the pipeline construction company sent bulldozers to those sites and deployed a security force to protect the work of those bulldozers. Security personnel used trained attack dogs to keep protesters away from the bulldozers. It didn't work. The protesters kept advancing. Several of them were reportedly bitten by the dogs. In this shot, captured by Amy Goodman and her crew at Democracy Now!, you can see blood on the mouth of this dog. There were no police witnesses to the confrontation, but a police statement after the fact mentioned only reported injuries to the security personnel, including one who was brought to the hospital in Bismarck but refused treatment when he got there. The pipeline company refused to respond to any of our questions today about their use of attack dogs against the protesters. In an emergency hearing this afternoon, the federal judge handling the case ordered a temporary stop to construction activity on land controlled by the Army Corps of Engineers. Judge James Boasberg said he had no jurisdiction to order a temporary stop on privately owned land. The tribe says there are sacred sites remaining on that privately owned land that could be destroyed by bulldozers this week. Senator Bernie Sanders stands with the tribes. He issued a written statement opposing the construction of the pipeline, but Bernie Sanders is not a presidential candidate anymore, so Hillary Clinton is under no pressure now from Bernie Sanders to take a position on the pipeline. Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein supports the tribes and visited the pipeline protest today, but Jill Stein doesn't have the following of Bernie Sanders, and so the tribe's protest against the pipeline still struggles to be heard by the national news media. No one at the protest camp on Saturday was surprised that the pipeline company literally let loose the dogs against them. It might be hard for the rest of us who believe that in the 21st century, dogs could be used this way legally in America. It could be hard for us to believe, but the tribes aren't surprised. Everyone I met in the protest camp, including the children, is willing to endure dog bites if that's what it takes tomorrow or to preserve their sacred sites and their sacred water. They don't understand why we don't understand what water means to them and to us. They know that we're taught in high school that the human body is 60% water. They know that we are taught that there could be no life of any kind on this planet without water. They know that we know that the first thing we search for in other planets is any trace of water, because water is life. But the tribes know that we think water is just a commodity. It is something outside of us that we use for our convenience. The tribes know better. The tribes know that water is part of us. The tribes know that we are water. There would be no protest today if the pipeline had followed an earlier proposed route that would not have crossed the Missouri River and would not have come close to the sacred sites of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. Alice Brown Otter's first stop in Washington, D.C. was not one of the tourist locations. It was the Army Corps of Engineers, where she stood outside and protested with the small group of kids her age and younger who ran to Washington with her. They did it because water is life. We can only hope the 12-year-old Alice Brown Otter doesn't have to spend the rest of her life trying to teach us what she already knows. Mani Wachoni. Water is life.